Hey, good morning, everybody in Facebook land. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Carolyne Rodrigues. It is, let me look at the date here. It is, oh my goodness, June 24th. Yes, summer has already started. Woohoo! I'm so excited. So, hey, Cindy, how are you? Beautiful. Guys, please jump on. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Beautiful Cindy from Bradford. It's always great to see you here. Lindsay, nice to see you. If you choose to stay for a few minutes, I usually speak for about 15-20 minutes. Some of you can catch it in replay time. So it's Monday, June 24th, Magical Monday with Carolyne Rodrigues. I'm always excited to be here on Mondays. I get my workout done, I have my shake, and my post-workout shake. And then I look forward to speaking to you guys. And I think, as I'm on the elliptical and I'm sitting there pondering, I often listen to Pastor Rick Warren, and I get some ideas from him, and I get some ideas from my pastor in church. And so today I was just thinking about, as my title says, choosing joy. And what is it that causes people to be joyful? Sorry, I'm just looking at me. And what is it that causes people to be, miserable? What's the opposite of joy, right? Type in there. Yeah, what's the opposite of joy? For me, it's being joyful or not being joyful, right? So I wanted to bring you 3 ideas of how you can stay in joy, stay in that process of joy every day. Because I myself, when I'm speaking to you guys, I'm reminded of, how am I living? And I notice, hey Irene, I'm just going to say hi to people as they come on. Yeah, Cindy, I can't wait to see you Thursday as well. We're gathering in Toronto to have a fun event. So that's going to make me joyful that day for sure. But I noticed that, in the last couple of weeks, us Torontonians, us Canadians, we've been in a state of euphoria because of the Raptors, right? We got caught up in the excitement and the turmoil, and people were happy and celebrating. And that was a moment in time. And so that moment in time has passed. And, now what? So, hey, Pat. And Pat is famous for sharing some of these thoughts. So I'd love for you to weigh in, right? So you only have to look around to see how much turmoil there is, right? The news. I had to ask my husband to stop turning on CNN first thing in the morning. Otherwise, I would have to leave the room, right? Because what do they talk about there? It's rarely happy thoughts and good things. It's often all the turmoil that's going on in the world, right? And then there's what's happening in your life. In my life, right? In your family, in your health, in your relationships, in your work. Circumstances that sometimes rob us of just being joyful in that moment. So how do you find joy amidst this chaos and the circumstances and some of you may have, wonderful, beautiful life, and what? Kudos to you. But I'd say the majority of people are just dealing with so much stuff that's coming at them with social media and all of the things that we have available to us. They make our life convenient, but they also sometimes cause us to be in a place where we don't feel our best. So joy, to me, my pastor yesterday reminded me of it. He said, joy is the fruit of the Spirit. So if the Spirit is living in me, I have a choice to be joyful, right? It's a choice. It's a conscious choice. That sounds right. Conscious choice to choose joy. That's a mouthful, right? So I started thinking about this. So people want to be happy, right? Happiness is based on a set of circumstances. And hey, Casey. And joy is a choice we make regardless of our circumstances, regardless of my circumstances. So I just want to read you the definition of happiness. The word happiness comes from the same root as the word happening, meaning happiness is based on something that's happening to us. Oh my goodness, Daniel Ferris, how are you? All right, so happiness is something that's happening. It's circumstantial. Joy, it defies circumstances. It's a choice in spite of, current circumstances. Happiness is a feeling. Joy is an attitude. It's a posture. It's a position. It's a place that you rest in. It's the fruit of the Spirit, as the pastor said yesterday. And I started to think about this, my life compared to other people's lives, right? Other people are comparing their life to somebody else's life. Oh my God, look at all these people tuning in. Hey, Maria, nice to see you. So I was reminded of a friend of mine who did very well in life, moved up here to Collingwood, wanted to golf. He had his, his kids, his grandkids here. And he, as a result of a botched operation, he lived in constant debilitating pain. So at the age of 63, with this, forward-thinking, amazing life that he had envisioned for himself, everything just collapsed. He was, he fought to come back from the circumstances that kept him from being mobile. But oh my God, I don't know how he did it. Every single moment of every day, he was in pain. And he showed me that pain is inevitable, but misery is optional. And when you looked at him, you couldn't really see that there was anything wrong with him. And I would say to him, how do you do it? In public, he was always a very joyful person, and he always made me smile, and he always had a joke to tell, and he was always teasing me. And I would sit back and think, how does he do that? Right? He said to me, Carolyne, he's no longer in this planet, right? He said, it's just a choice, because that's who he was before that operation botched his entire body, and that's who he chose to be. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm getting so emotional about that. And he said, I don't want to talk about the pain. He wasn't interested in anybody feeling sorry for him. And he had this rule: 5-minute pity party and let's move on. I always gave him a massage whenever I saw him to try and relieve him from some of the, tingling pain he had constantly. And he said, you just have to make peace with that. Make peace with the place that you're in. So if you're in a place where you find the circumstances are affecting your output, your outcome, it's how do you find that place of peace? I am constantly thanking God for what I have: my health, my finances, my home, my warm bed, right? My pillow. I love my pillow, right? And sometimes it's a lack of, right? Business comes, business goes, and it's finding the ability to praise even in the circumstances that aren't providing you with the results you're looking for. So the other thing I talk about constantly is gratitude. Gratitude puts me in a place of choosing and feeling joy in spite of. Because circumstances change, you guys, you know that, right? There are times of, times where things are feast and famine, right? That's in the Bible. So gratitude puts me in a place of choosing to feel joyful. Grateful people are typically focused on what they have versus what's missing. And I started to think about this. Oh my God, I'm so glad that I don't have cancer. I'm so glad that I don't have pain. And then I thought, what am I doing? I'm calling on those things that I don't want, right? So, hey, Petra. And so take the not out. Take the, I'm so grateful that I don't have this. No, be grateful for what you do have, right? And by not focusing on what's missing, you're going to find the joy and the blessings that you can count on, right? And so journaling, I know, Pat, you do this all the time. And I love that. Let me read what Pat just wrote. The mind cannot hold two thoughts at once. So it's either focus on the good or focus on the bad. Absolutely, right? And there's always good in every circumstances. And I think comparison is such a thief. It robs us of what we have. Because I think about my life before I found the business that I'm currently in, and I wish somebody had shared this with me. I wish somebody had helped me to see that I actually have a great life. I'm flying all over the world. I'm getting to experience things, but I was so focused on how much pain I was in because of an injury that I had where I was thrown out of a golf cart that caused me to have pain all the time, especially when I was fatigued. And so flying around the world in different time zones, I was constantly tired and fatigued, and that's all I could focus on. And guess what? I got more of that fatigue, and it robbed me of the joy of what I had available in front of me, right? So think about what you do have now. What is it that makes, and I started to think about that, what is it that makes me feel joyful? And I went out and watered my plants this morning, and plucked off the dead stuff, and I saw it, and I watered and fed my flowers, and I thought, oh my God, that makes me feel joyful. And this beautiful, I'm sitting here in my office, there's trees all around me, and this red cardinal just kept flying back and forth and back and forth, and I'm like, I get so much joy out of anticipating that cardinal coming to visit me, because somebody told me that cardinals are guardian angels, right? And I've been talking to my grandmother a lot and asking her for direction. My grandmother is a long time past, and she's somebody that I speak to, and gosh, this cardinal just keeps appearing, and so I keep talking to my grandma. Okay, the last thing I want to share with you, my last point in finding joy. And Emily, you're someone who brings me joy, because every time I see you, you always have this beautiful smile on your face, right? So that's another thing, right? Surround yourself with people who are joyful no matter what. And Emily's story, oh my goodness. I mean, she could just be a miserable person all the time. That's the story I'll tell another time. So Emily, thank you for your beautiful smile. So number 3, focus on being, not doing. Right? Because sometimes your physical limitation will rob you from maybe the fulfillment you are seeking. And what am I talking about? I went for my annual physical just to make sure everything's working. And as I mentioned, this ridiculous golf cart accident that I had 30 years ago is now coming back to manifest itself in ways that I don't really like, right? So I have some physical limitation. I have some, issues that are not making my spine work as well as it should. Now it's in my hip. And so, the advice that some medical professionals will give you is to stop doing these things that aggravate this thing. So many of you know that I love to golf, right? I golf 3 times a week. Well, now maybe I can only golf 2 times a week, because those limiting physical issues cause me some grief. But being out on the golf course, executing a great shot brings me joy. So I'm going to find a way to do that. And the way for me to do that is to exercise every day to keep my body strong, instead of living in a place where I can't do this and I can't do that, right? But in the interim, I'm learning to focus on being rather than doing. I'm a physically active person. I don't like sitting around. I'm not that person that can go on a vacation and sit on, under a whatever on the beach and soak up the sun. I'm somebody that likes to be active while I'm doing that. Hey Eleanor, nice to see you here. So what I am learning to do now, because I know it's gonna come a day where I won't be able to do those physical things that I enjoy doing, is learning to focus on being rather than doing. And so what do? I go to gratitude that I can still do those things. I go to gratitude again, going back to point number 2, but in the being versus the doing, right? I can sit and read and learn. And so adjusting and finding joy that I'm still able to do the things that I love to do, and understanding that in the interim, I'm going to learn some other things. Like I'm learning mahjong, right? So I always thought, oh, that's for old people. No, there's a lot of young people that play mahjong. So I'm learning to use my mind and do something else that will bring me joy, because there's going to come a day where I maybe won't be able to golf. Although I think that's going to be a long time coming, because I play with a lady who's 92 and she has all the same issues I do. So we can learn from other people, right? So, okay, back to being. I know many of us are well versed in doing. And again, our pastor yesterday talked about rest, right? Not feeling guilty because you're not doing something. And that was me. If I'm not doing something, then whatever, I should be doing something. So I'm learning now to rest and to be still, to read a book, to read the paper, to just be quiet, to read my Bible first thing in the morning. And I read it on my iPad so I can make the writing bigger and I can highlight things and I can learn. So I'm learning to take time to be, not just do, right? And we'll talk about rest another day, because that's something many of us don't do. So I know all of you guys, not all of you guys, my husband keeps saying, don't lump everybody in. There are many people that are so focused on doing, we forget to be. And that's typical of North Americans, because we're chasing things, we're chasing titles, we're chasing material possessions, and that causes us to be busy all the time. So I got another story to tell you guys, and this is something that I read on the internet. It's a story about an elderly gentleman whose son came over once a week to help him. His son mowed the grass, he trimmed the shrubs, he did his grocery shopping, he cleaned his house, did his laundry, and one day his son, after he finished all these chores, asked his dad, he said, "Dad, what else can I do for you?" And the dad, watching his son being busy, coming over, grateful that his son was doing all this stuff for him, just said to him, all I want you to do is just to sit down and be with me. And I thought, wow, I'm guilty of that too, right? I'm guilty of that. And I want to leave you with one last little story. It's a story from the Bible of a great Christian, the Apostle Paul. And when I think about this, I'm like, how? This man of great faith. He spoke of his circumstances, and writing to the church at Philippi from his prison cell as he awaited trial in Rome, right? He was captured by the Romans, and he didn't know whether he would be condemned to death or whether he would be set free. So I want to just read you this. He says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." I'll say it again, rejoice. "I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether living in plenty or living in want." So I'm going to leave you with this last quote from the Bible. It's my favorite. I have it on my little affirmation card that I showed you guys. I have these little cards that I read every day, and I've carried this one for, it's like 15 years. It's all bent up and yellow and what have you. And it's on here. It says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and mind. Be content, whatever the circumstances, because I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." So a little bit of a message from my pastor, from Joel Osteen, from Rick Warren, that I wanted to bring to you, and that is, no matter what, choose joy. Choose joy, because it is the fruit of the Spirit that we've been gifted, and it's free. And so with that, my friends, have a magical Monday. Next Monday is Canada Day, so I won't be here. I'll be taking the time to be with my family and to do some fun things with my friends. So I'll be off riding the trails of Collingwood and enjoying the fireworks. So I bid you a magical week, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye. Hey, Esther. Nice to see you. Bye, guys. Have a great day.